What it do, baby? It's your boy, Mr. Prophytes Be Like, here on the Prophytes Be Like podcast, episode 43. And I have a special guest with me. He's going to be president, general president. This is actually the highest ranking position in Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. Um, Matter of fact, I think out of all organizations, president is the highest. I don't know why I'm tripping.
Okay.
Like I don't know what it is. We got brother Lucien J. Metellus Jr. on. What's up, Frat? How you doing?
What's going on, bro? How are you?
I'm good, Frat. I appreciate you for taking. First of all, happy Founders Day to you.
Happy Founders Day to you, bro.
Yeah, and I appreciate you for taking the time out your busy schedule. You know, you got places to be, people to see, being the general president elect, 37th general president elect coming up. So really appreciate your time to sit down and chat with me about, who you are as a person and going into this position.
Well,
You ready for the conversation?
definitely, and I want to tell you, and I appreciate you for inviting me, bro. I know there are a thousand other brothers or Greeks that you could invite. I know that you're pivotal for the culture, and I really appreciate the work that you do and when I say the culture, I'm talking about Black Greek life, and it Prophytes be like. I remember when you had Neos be like, but those kinds of things are, beautiful for the culture. I really appreciate what you do. I follow you on all the socials, and I might drop a comment in there every once in a while. I remember when y'all dropped the ace slander in there. I was like, oh, look at this slander going on.
Hey man, hey, behind every ace is a great deuce. That's all I'm gonna say.
I'm gonna
Um,
leave it there. We're gonna leave it there. We're gonna leave it there.
no, I appreciate the sentiments for sure, Fred. It's crazy. You've been watching me this whole time, just in the background. I didn't even know you knew about Neos be like in all my other endeavors. That's
I
crazy.
was on all of it.
Wow, that's crazy. I appreciate you being tapped in for sure, for sure. But no, this podcast is all about you. So let's start off with where you attended college.
Well, I went to, the best university there is Syracuse University. We upset Miami this past weekend in college football. Yeah,
Y'all
so
did.
I
Y'all
graduated
did
way
that.
back. We did
Okay.
that. We graduated in the class in 97, degree in policy studies, a minor in economics with a specialization in African American studies. Well, I always tell people especially that I went to college to do what's good for my people.
Yeah.
I work right now in the IT space and information technology space. That's my full-time career. But outside of that, outside of working in there, what I'd use my degrees for is really to move the progress of our people forward. When I talk about our people, not only am I talking about our black and brown people, I'm talking about people that are disenfranchised in any space. So we need to be advocates, especially I'm a big advocate for our people, especially black women. But I just want, those are the things that I use my degrees for.
I got you for sure. Yeah, Syracuse definitely upset it Miami this weekend, which I'm a little I'm not upset about it, but y'all gave Clemson a easy way out. They wasn't supposed to even be in the conference championship. Now they
But
got a
we said
chance to be
thank
in the.
you. We said thank
The
you.
coach said thank you.
You said,
They because y'all gave Clemson a lot of help, and I just want Clemson to go away. Anyways, um, I hate everything that's Tigers that's not Mizzou. So,
I got you.
yeah, that's all that is. But no, even with from a basketball standpoint, y'all got Melo's son coming there next year.
Definitely.
I'm definitely gonna have to get. I've never been to New York at all, Frat. So
You
one,
need to come through. We're gonna take
which
good care of you.
which we gonna talk about the inauguration and stuff like
Right.
that too. But also I think I want to hit the Syracuse game one day. So
Definitely.
I definitely got to do that for sure.
Largest on-campus indoor facility for sports.
Wow,
It's
I
actually on campus. So,
did not know that. That's
mhm.
a good fun fact about Syracuse for sure. So you currently live in New York, right?
Well, I live in Maryland now. Originally lived in New York for all those years, but
Okay.
in Maryland right now.
What part of Maryland?
Frederick.
Okay. Got you. So then, um, graduated in 97. You crossed Zeta Lambda, right? In
Yep.
spring of 98?
St. Albans, New York, but regularly known as Queens in spring of '98. Number one of five.
Okay.
Five sons of the great pharaohs.
Okay.
You could, everyone follows me on my socials because my line name is my socials, long shot 1906.
Yeah. You want to share how you got that line name?
But hey, that's gonna be a longer story. We're gonna be here for 2.5 hours.
A long
But
shot,
yeah,
huh?
sometimes you're not the ones it's the ones you don't expect
Oh
that
yeah,
do a little bit more.
I got you for sure,
Not that
for
I'm
sure.
better than anybody, but
No, I got
sometimes
you.
you got to put a little more work in than everybody else.
100, 100 for sure. So by the way, I'm not even gonna tell you where I was spring of '98.
You
Um,
probably at grade school.
I was finishing up kindergarten in the spring of
Oh man,
'98.
bruh, you broke my heart.
So
You
I was,
broke my heart.
get jiggy with it. Nah, 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 nah. Now that came out when I was in kindergarten, so they
Hey,
had us doing that.
best year of hip hop was 98. Best year of
Yeah.
hip hop was 98. Don't even
Okay.
go look at the
Okay.
catalog. You'll see. Best
Yeah.
year of hip hop was 98.
It's some good stuff that came out in that 97. I think the Master P Make 'em Say came
Yeah,
out around that time too. Yeah,
yeah,
kindergarten year was lit for music. That's all I'm gonna
definitely,
say.
definitely, definitely was. It
Macarena.
was, but it was lit for the crossing year too. So
Oh, I bet. I bet. I
yeah,
can only imagine how y'all was back then, But I was in kindergarten, so what do I know, man?
it's all
I
good.
ain't mean
It's
to
all
make you
good.
feel, a little
No, no,
slightly
no, no, no.
older,
That's what
but
the gray
yeah.
hair's about. That's what the gray hair's about.
It's just wisdom, Fred. It's
It's
just wisdom.
wisdom.
That's all
It's
it
just
is.
wisdom.
For sure, for sure. So, why Alpha? Why did you decide to become a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated?
So weird story. I actually had no interest in being part of a Greek letter organization. I thought they were kind of wild and crazy.
Wow.
Uh, and I always tell people this. It's not even about Greek life. It's just life in general. Sometimes people will see things in you that you don't see in yourself. And
Okay.
a young lady came up to me. We went to school together. She went to Syracuse with me, and she was just talking to people, and she said, "You be a I could see you as an alpha." And she planted that little seed in my head. At first, I was like, no way, I ain't doing that. That's crazy, you know. But she planted that little seed in my head. And, from that process forward, I started doing the research. And I found out that two things about alphas. Alphas are about the people, right? And we're highly educated. And those two things really played into my sense of what I wanted to be. I don't have any brothers or sisters that I grew up with, right? And so this was an opportunity for me. The most important thing to me is the brotherhood component. And this is an opportunity for me to get brothers. And so as I got further along in the process, I realized how big the organization was. It's bigger than your campus, right? And so you start seeing these different personalities play out and different things in that space. So from that little conversation, she literally she said to me, I remember this exactly how it went. She said it to me like on a Tuesday afternoon. By Wednesday night, I called her back and said, "Why'd you say that?" Right? She was like, "No, you got it." And to me, the only thing I knew about Greek life was kind of like parties. I know they did community service at the time, but it
Hmm.
was really and they were a force on Syracuse campus. But for me, it was like, oh, I don't know if I fit in that space. I have some really good friends that graduated from there. I had a great relationship with the Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated Pi Iota chapter down at Syracuse University. I love those women. They have been lifelong friends to me. So those connections, Greek life that you get as a young person, you really keep for the rest of your life. And I'd even realize that going in as an interest. So those kinds of bonds, fraternal and otherwise, helped me grow as a man. And that's really what Alpha Alpha gives to me. But the most important thing it gives to me is the brotherhood.
Yeah, that's what's up. You didn't have anyone in your family that was Greek?
Oh no, I had family members. I had my god brother actually went to Syracuse. He was 2 years ahead of me. Was Pledge Sigma. Um, he was a solo. So shout out to Franz. Franz was a solo from Syracuse, and when I was a freshman, he was pledging Sigma. And his brother, who's also a Sigma from Queens. So we had a couple of Sigmas. Well, they told me that I actually had a cousin that's an Alpha, but we've never connected. And that was basically it. Yeah, from my perspective, we had one Alpha and three Sigmas, and but that wasn't my lane, or I didn't think it was my lane.
Yeah, I got you. But then you had a whole different mindset, and you finally saw the light, huh?
Definitely, definitely.
Okay, for sure, for sure. Appreciate you for sharing that story. So then, you crossed spring of '98. Um, and you're still a member of Zeta Zeta Lambda, right?
Correct.
So you've been in Zeta Zeta. You've been in Alpha for 22 years.
Nope,
Going on 20.
26.
Oh my goodness, my
26.
math is off. Let me go back. Why am I? See, here's the thing too, Fred.
Yeah,
COVID done messed up my math to where I'm thinking it's
bro,
like 2022 right now. So
bro.
I'm thinking like,
So
okay, that's a
the longest
2020. I'm like,
the
what?
longest the longest year of my life was 2020. That
Oh
was the
my goodness.
that I was Eastern Regional Vice President at the time for
Yeah.
Alpha.
Uh-huh.
And we were, I don't know if you remember this, we had our regional convention planned to be in Bermuda in 2020.
Okay.
And then
Yep.
COVID came.
Uh-huh.
And
I
it went
remember that.
all downhill from there, right?
Yeah.
And I will tell people, that March, remember when that March when we locked everybody in?
Uh-huh.
That March was actually, I tell everyone, that March was the longest mo month of my life because in that month, the month and a half, I lost so many good people to COVID. Like, that had just passed away and different
Yep.
things of that nature. So for
Mm-hmm.
me, that was a really big time in my life. So
Yeah.
I haven't never downplayed that. Like that was super crazy to me.
So 26 years in the fraternity. Um, while joining Alpha, did you ever aspire to be general president, or when
Nah,
did this
bro.
idea come about?
Nah, bro. So let me be honest with you. When I was initiated, I thought I was gonna be chapter secretary for life. I thought, that was gonna be the highlight of my alpha experience was being chapter president. And and once again, it goes back to that conversation we were having earlier. Sometimes people see things in you that you don't see in yourself.
Uh-huh.
So I was so ended up being chapter vice president. And I'm sitting at home one day, and I got a call from Brother Stephen Cuffey, who is the district director. Who, for those of you that don't know, a district director is like a state president in Alpha. So he was state president in New York, and he was like, "Hey, I need an area director for New York City." And I was like, "Well, why don't you ask this brother?" He was like, "I did." He said no, so I thought of you, right? And
Know how
so,
that go?
yep. And so I said sure. And then, as an area director, you oversee chapters in a specific area, which for me was New York City, but I ended up doing double duty for New York City and Long Island. And when you build those relationships, because I want to just put out something out there, if you're not building relationships outside of your line or your prophytes or the lines you bring in, you're not really experiencing Greek life in the right way, right? And
Yep.
so it was through those experiences that I, got, and then brothers kept elevating me. They said, we're going to make you district director in New York. And then, from there, I was national parliamentarian of the fraternity under Mark Tillman, a good Midwest bro. And then, and then from there, I was Eastern Regional Vice President. And so I'm working with chapters from Maine to Virginia, Africa, Europe, and Bermuda. And from there, then I run for General President. And the brothers had enough faith in me to elect me as General President. So it's never anything I aspired for. It just seemed like a path that just keeps being put up front of you. I will always remember something a brother once told me. He says, brothers support you because you don't look out for yourself. You always look out for brothers. And that's how I try to lead every day. It's not about me, but it's about what I can do for the brothers.
Yeah, most definitely. We appreciate you for having that mindset because, it is a brotherhood and you got to think about all the brothers in this sense. So, really appreciate you for making the sacrifice for stepping up all those years. Too bad, Frat, you not made to be secretary, you made to be general president. So,
Yeah, man. I told you I was secretary was gonna be the life. I was gonna be
nope.
taking those minutes and doing it real big.
No, sir. That's not the plan. Nope, nope. But yeah, that's how they got you starting with district director and then just kind of, take off from
Hmm.
there. So, um, no, that's what's up. So secretary has been the only position that you've had. So you went from a secretary to district director. Is that
Nope,
right?
no, I was secretary, director of education. That was actually a critical point for me when I was director of education for my chapter. So
Okay.
director of education, for those that just might be watching this in Alpha, kind of oversees the national programs. And I was also the advisor for the Theta Epsilon chapter seated at St. John's University. And, I was the Alpha advisor for Theta E, and one of the brothers from Theta E, you know how it goes, bro. You're going through those semesters and you're trying to figure out who's enrolled and who's not enrolled in school. And I'm
Yep.
chasing this one bro down, and I'm like, yo, bro, and I'm getting at him, and then finally I hem him up funny enough, at a party. I'm like, bro, what's going on, right? Why aren't you getting back to me? He said, bro, I literally cannot afford to go back to college, right?
Wow.
And from there, what I did, so that really touched me in a way. And so from there, what I did as director of education was we had our first scholarship luncheon. And in that scholarship luncheon, we made sure that not only did we give scholarships to high school students, but we gave scholarships to college brothers, right? Because we need to make sure that we take care of our own as well. Because as you know, with the rising cost of college and everything else that goes upon that, Alpha Phi Alpha needs to be intentional about making sure that we take care of not only our brothers, which are very important, but are people who don't have access to those funds. They're trying to price
Absolutely.
us out of college,
Yep.
literally. They're trying to price us out of college. They want us to go into debt. And when I say they, I'm talking about the institutions that benefit from this economic system that we have in place, right? I'm not talking about individual people. I don't want it to be an individual personality thing. Systems benefit from less and less people being able to afford college. And so we as alpha men need to make sure, one, that we're taking care of our young people. Yes, both black boys and black girls especially, but young people in general, with the opportunities to help them get through high school. We talk about go to high school and then get them and make sure they graduate to college. And so we need to make sure that we're economically invested in those opportunities as a fraternity. And we're going to start leveraging some of that as with me as general president.
Gotcha.
I've also served as chapter president, 2 terms. I was actually chapter president. This is how old I am. I was chapter president
Oh
during the
boy.
during the fraternity centennial in 2006. So yeah, see, you don't even know that. You don't even
Wow, that's
yeah
crazy. So,
yeah.
December 2006, I was a freshman in high school.
See there we go.
So,
See there we go. So
so
2006, I
you
was the,
you
I was the chapter.
all my grade school from kindergarten up until
Yeah,
high school, you was putting in the work of alpha. Look at
yeah,
that, Fred. I see
yeah. I
you.
was
Okay.
my chapter was chartered in 1955. So in 2005, I was the chapter president for my chapter's 50th anniversary, and in
Uh-huh.
2006, I was the chapter president for the fraternity centennial. So
Wow.
I got both of those under my belt. No one else. They're gonna have to wait another until 2055 to catch up with me. So it's all good. But and from there, we came up with our public program that we still do today. It was something that I wanted to recognize brothers for the work that we do. Um, those of us, I'm talking about all Greek life, those of us that do work sometimes feel underappreciated or undervalued. And I wanted to start giving out awards to brothers that do the work that brothers may not need, people may not even notice, right? Because it's always, everyone talks about the big brothers, like um, we talk about Martin Luther King or Thurgood Marshall. We talk about like all these famous brothers, right? But we don't ever talk about the brothers that are in the vineyard doing the work, and we need to highlight them. I also was able to, among the other things I did at Alpha, I was district secretary, district director, district competitions chair, different things. We already talked about me being district director, Miss Black and Gold pageant chair for the district. I was infamous back in those days. I was director of College Brothers Affairs for the Eastern region. I did that under the leadership of Sean McCaskill, who's the executive director of the fraternity now. Those were the positions that I held. But a little known fact is I was also president of the NPHC in New York City. And NPHC at a graduate level is different, but NPHC in New York City is very
Yes.
different because you got almost 50, not even undergraduate chapters, just 50 graduate alumni and alumni chapters that are coming together, sending their 2 delegates, and you're trying to navigate those personalities, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, it's very different. So that experience also helped me grow as a person. Working with the different. I always had love for all other organizations. I know Alpha's the best, but you still got to have love for everybody, right? And
Yes, sir.
so, and we have great relationships through that experience, and that helped me grow as a leader. I want to definitely shout out the New York City NPHC for the awesome work that they do in the communities and the scholarships and the funds that they raise. We came from a different place to where we are today, and I want to compliment them for the work that we do. It's hard, this, bro. It's hard to get 10 chapters in Alpha to agree on anything. You got
Uh,
50 different chapters from 9 different organizations trying to agree on something.
yeah.
That's leadership, and I want to compliment the current president and the past presidents that are doing the work to help keep moving things forward.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Shout out to those chapters. Go ahead and name all 50. No, I'm just kidding. You ain't
You know I
got
could. You know I
to. Oh,
could.
I'm sure you can, Fred. For sure, for sure. No, like I said, appreciate all the work you've put in over these past 26 years. For sure, it's definitely appreciated. So we got the 37th inauguration
Yes,
happening
sir.
in January. You want to remind the people of the dates?
Oh, January 10th through the 12th, we're gonna be in Queens, New York, LaGuardia Marriott. We got some special surprises. I know you've seen some of the honorary chairs, so we've definitely done the work. We've got a few surprise MCs as well that might bring some people to the table for some of our events. So the weekend is filled with. We're going to present our new strategy for the fraternity. We're going to talk. We're going to have some events and social events at night. We're definitely having an installation ceremony on the Saturday. And we're going to have an installation and an inauguration gala on the Saturday night at Terrace on the Park. So if you haven't been to Terrace on the Park, it's a very nice location. But we're definitely excited, not about me getting inaugurated as general president, but we're excited about bringing brothers together. Like being amongst the brothers gives me real energy and life, right? And those are besides faith, which is my God, family, and when I say family, and I want to say this to you, bro. Don't take for granted those friends that have been with you for a very long time. Those are family too, right? I have
Yeah,
friends so I always tell people, I have friends that have been in my life longer than they haven't been in my life. Well, so what does that mean? That means that I've had friends from high school that I'm still good friends with, right? We were just
yeah,
on a text thread like 20 minutes ago talking about Christmas, right? 35 plus years of friendship, right, is long, and it's been longer than I've been alive, right?
yeah.
So longer than I've not had them in my life. And so
Right.
I always, I count them as family, and anyone I call family, anyone I call true friend is family, right? And then comes fraternity, right? I think a lot of times people get it confused, right? We come into these organizations and we have about, I would say, maybe a month of shine time. What does shine time mean? It means that, especially with the way social media has evolved, you get, depending on how they edit the videos, and I'll leave that to profiles to be like to do the analysis on. You get your neophyte or probate show. It goes on the web. You're famous for like this month, right? And then there's this rotation, and then you're kind of forgotten about until that next line comes in, right? So the question is, what you're gonna do after that video that you had on social media talking about your neophyte show versus what we're going to do with that rest of your membership, right? And so part of that for me is that we've got to create a real membership experience for the brothers. We have to make sure that when a young brother comes in, whether it's college or alumni, but especially college, that he has a mentor that's a professional mentor that's going to help him get jobs, that's going to help him mentor him and prepare him for the next level of success in his life. A lot of times I hear this trend on social media where I'm seeing people say, hey, we need to slow down people coming in and everything else like that. What I would offer is that we just need to do a better job of selecting the right people and making
Mm.
sure once we select the right people, we need to mentor them along the way, right?
Pass the collection plate on that one.
I don't think anybody should be, so I think a lot of times we're hard on the Neos, but the fact of the matter is we chose them, right? We chose them.
Absolutely.
Not like nobody, I can only speak for Alpha, but nobody came into Alpha without someone co-signing them, right?
Hmm.
Well, tomorrow, Founders Day, December 4th, 1906. We we haven't initiated anybody since 1906 that didn't have someone co-signs for them, right?
Yep.
So if you were not in that room when the fraternity was founded, someone co-signed your membership, right? So we need to make sure that we are always holding each other accountable and making sure that we're developing leaders intentionally. And that's something that I'm really, really big on. And I think when we look at the culture today, I would say that we have the best set of collegians, and I'm talking about not just Alpha, but across MPHC than we've ever had. They're emotionally intelligent. I don't think they're fully aware of their social media footprint, meaning that something that you do is going to be there forever, right? So when you go on, when you go on Instagram, when you go on TikTok, right, you're leaving a footprint, and that footprint can either be used against you for the rest of your life or it can uplift your profile. That's where I think sometimes they miss the mark, but I think that overall they're well researched. They understand what it is and what it isn't, and they don't take any mess from anybody. So I think that we have a great opportunity with these, but we just need to make sure that we're providing the access that they need to be successful instead of just telling them, "Hey, now you're the chapter president," right? Okay, like
And
when
and if we being honest, that scares some brothers away
right,
because soon as they come in, oh yeah, you chapter president, here you go, boom, you got the responsibility of representing us at all. And I'm talking from a collegiate standpoint to start
right,
with.
of course,
You gotta, go to all these meetings to represent the fraternity. You gotta go to the districts, which you probably ain't got no money to get there, but you gotta try to figure it out with the chapter or the region or whatever. Then you gotta go to regionals. Then you gotta go to general convention, and then you have to, like, it's a lot,
it's a
and
lot.
especially as if you throw like a neo into that position, and it really becomes difficult because they're just now learning, about being an alpha and being in the fraternity. So then to throw them, as soon as they cross and then you have elections, oh, you're the president now. It's kind of like, you know, pushing them
What's going
away
on?
to where it's hard
Right.
to, you know, have them come back to after they graduate, which we have brothers. That's how most brothers go
You burn
inactive because they did all this
we're
work and now they
we're
like,
burn them out.
yep,
We
you
burn them
burnt
out.
out already in
We
your
burnt them
year.
out. I won't say all of them are burnt out. I'm saying, let me say it like this. I think a lot of them, the ones that want to do the work, get burnt out by the time. Because remember, when you're in college, you're not only an alpha, you're a student. You
Yep.
probably in some other organizations. Depending how you move on campus, you may have two or three relationships you got going on campus, right? Oh no, I'm not talking about alphas. I'm talking about Greeks in general. Alphas are
Yeah.
faithful.
Yeah.
One alpha. I never met an alpha. Alpha. What is it? Alphas don't cheat.
Yep. There
That's
you
what Hill Harper said. That's what Hill Harper said.
go.
Alphas don't cheat, right? So, it's, in all seriousness, you have life going on. You don't even know what that brother's going through at home. I had and I tell brothers this all the time. I tried my best as an advisor, but Theta Epsilon taught me a lot about being a real brother, right? And so one day I was we Theta Epsilon had a line in the chapter dean, and I'm not going to shout him out, but he's actually in the hip hop industry right now. Chapter dean didn't do something right, and we're in the middle of how it goes. You're in the middle of intake, right? So
Yeah.
send him a text message like, "Yo, dude, what's going on?" He was like, "Dude," yeah, and I did come at him sideways. I'll take ownership of that, right? But he hit me back, and he was like, "Hey, first of all, I'm a man. Secondly, there's something going on in my life. He explained to me what's going on in his life, and I apologize. But that's when I realized that there are things that bros are going through that we don't even know about. I share this story very often when I was campaigning, but it's a true story. When I was district director of New York, and I had an assistant district director, for those of you that are watching don't know, an assistant district director is kind of the same position over the state of New York, but it's a college brother, right? So we work in tandem together. College brother named Qasim Rab. Qasim and I were like tight as thieves, right? And so he graduates from college. He's living his regular life, and it was in 2019, right before the Vegas convention. He hits me up, right? We were always in constant contact. Saw him a few months earlier at his chapter's Miss Black and Gold pageant. He was just showing up as an old head. You know how old heads do, right? Had the conversation with him. He seemed like he was off, right? Like, he was always eccentric, but he seemed like it was way off his usual self, right? And had a conversation. In my head, I was like, I need to follow up with him, see what's going on. But I was like, but you know what? I don't want to be in his business, right? And 19 hits me up. He's like, oh, I'll see you at the general convention in Vegas. He's excited that I'm Eastern Regional Vice President. And then a few months later, he commits suicide. And for me, that's really big because one, I always regret that I didn't do the extra thing to reach out to him and talk to him and just check in on him, right? And two, it's really a big part of this, what I want to do with this administration is really focus on mental health, especially for Black men. I know that we're a diverse organization, but especially Black men, we really need to address our mental health spaces. I want to create opportunities for brothers, especially that have mental health challenges, to seek out professional help and the fraternity be a support mechanism. We're not a mental health organization. I'm not going to tell you we're going to be doing mental health work, but we need to partner with these organizations and help them in the mental health space. Help our brothers in the mental health space and all brothers, not just those that are of the African diaspora, but we need to look at all brothers, but especially our brothers in the African diaspora.
Most definitely. I couldn't agree with you anymore. And since we're on that topic, I guess what are some other impacts you plan to make as general president?
Well, I'm not going to reveal all of them because I got to save some of them for day one, but we're
I
gonna
was trying to
definitely.
get you. I was trying to
And
catch you. I was
you
trying to
know,
see if I get a sneak peek
well, I'm gonna
for the
we got.
podcast.
So I'm gonna tell you, we have the fraternity has a mobile app. I'm gonna say in mid-January, look for something new.
All right.
Uh, so if you have it download, if the fraternity has a mobile app, we have some things that we're doing with technology. We're gonna look at upgrading some of the things that we do in terms of our national programs. But most importantly, this is what I want to share. We're going to really focus on the development of the individual brother to be the best successful example for his community. All brothers, let me say it like this. You know you're doing it right when men that are not alphas look at you and want to be an alpha.
Yeah.
Right? I always ask the question, who is the last man that you converted to alpha, right? It's like, are you living an example? You don't, you generate interest in alpha not only through parties and events, you generate interest just by being a brother,
Yep.
right? Are you talking to that young man on campus that may be struggling with statistics, right? Are you inviting him to study with the alphas? Are you doing that, right? Not on some, I want you to be an interest on like some real like, yo, you're a black man on this PWI. I need to look out for you as a person of color, and we need to help you. On an HBCU level, we need to really say, hey, we need to make sure that not only do you, because we understand that the retention rate, and that's another key component that we're going to focus on, the retention rate of 56% at some HBCUs is unacceptable, right? We need to make sure that our black men are graduating from college at 70, 80, 90%, and we're going to be invested in that. We're going to really take time to be on our college campuses as a general organization and help promote the fraternity moving forward. And I talked about earlier, really focusing on that mental health space. I will say this, and it's not an excuse because I don't want the sisters to get mad at me, right? But I'm also going to tell you the truth is that due to the societal outcomes that we've all experienced as black men, if we don't address our own mental health issues first, we will be less and less available for black women as protectors and partners and I don't mean partners necessarily in a marriage sense. I mean partners in a communal sense and be there for them, right? And so we need to really address that before we can even say, and that's part of building the best brother. We could need to address that before we can even say, hey, this is what we want to do. This is what we want to help the communities do. We're going to do both at the same time. We're still going to be an advocate. We know that our sister Kamala Harris didn't get elected as president of the United States, but that doesn't mean that we go back and lick our wounds and go back and hide it. That's when the opportunity for us to come out now and double down and make sure that we are protecting the rights of the individual human being. I'm not even talking about black rights, LGBTQ rights. I'm talking about people rights, right? We need to make sure that we need to stop voter suppression, right? We need to stop voter intimidation. We need to make sure that we talk about the issues that matters to the communities that we serve, and we need to do more than write political statements about issues and actually put some action behind it. And those are a little bit of leaks that I'm going to let you see into what we have planned. But ultimately, we need to make sure that one, we're developing the best brother that we can, and two, we continue to be service and advocates for the communities that we serve.
For sure. And it's crazy because I had a couple more questions I was going to ask, but you already touched on them. And I was going to basically bring up, thoughts about the presidential election and
Well,
basically
I
if is Alpha, ready for any, change of policies because we're seeing a lot of stuff about DEI, things
mhm,
of that nature. Well, um, that that in a sense affects Alpha as well, in a
right.
sense.
And
So wondering if
so
we're prepared for that.
So what I've done is, as we're coming into the next administration, and I want to thank Brother Willis Alonzo III, the current general president, and he'll be the immediate pass on January 1st, 2025. He's really focused in on getting the MPHC together when he served as chair, and now under the leadership of Frat Array, the MPHC organization, the Council of Presidents have really been focused on that engagement and that social action component. And so what I'll say is this. Alpha is as part of my task to move into the next year. We've created an external diversity, equity, and inclusion advocacy group for the fraternity that will address some policies and issues state to state. And then we've created an internal diversity, equity, and inclusion group because we need to also educate the brothers of what that is. Sometimes people hear DEI, but actually don't understand what that is, right?
Yes. Yep.
And so we need to educate our brothers because I think you can't be in one of these fraternities or sororities and not understand the diversity of your membership. I'm not asking you to, to be cool with one thing or another. What I'm asking you to do is open your mind to understand that as Martin Luther King said, oppression everywhere is a threat to freedom everywhere. As I paraphrase that. But you
Yep.
ultimately see what I'm saying is that we've got to be in the spaces to make sure that we are fighting oppression, and we have to also understand what that looks like for people that may not be exactly like myself, right? I know who I am, but your experience is different than mine, right? And you're from St. Louis, right? So you love some Nelly, right? I grew up in Queens. I'm a LL Cool J, Lost Boys, Wu-Tang, Biggie, Nas, that's me, right? But I still got love for the Midwest. I still got love for the South. I got love for the West Coast. That's my hip hop genre, right? That's a combination of things. But in order for me to understand it, I have to open my mind to it, right? I could have locked myself out from NWA, but I didn't. I could have locked myself out from Kendrick, but I didn't. I could have but you've got to be able to open your mind up to it, really have those conversations and that's what I try to do in every space that I'm in is listen to what those people are telling me, especially those people that are not like me because their experience is so unique. I'm not saying I'm going to justify your bad behavior, but it will also help shape my understanding of where you're coming from.
Most definitely. Most definitely. Where where do you see Alpha in 10 years?
Well, here's the thing. I always tell brothers we need to think about Alpha's 50 years from now.
Okay.
We need to think about the brothers that are not here yet. And so
Yep.
what I see Alpha doing in the next few decades is really becoming the leader of social activism justice, the leader of developing young black boys and black girls even if those black boys don't become alphas, we want to create the next great generation, right? We want to be the advocates for the poor. We want to be the leading edges of technology. We want to be the place where a politician, if you're, what city are you in right now, bro?
I'm in St. Louis still.
Yeah, okay, you're in St.
Yep.
Louis.
Yep.
So
Yep.
the mayor of St. Louis should know about who the president of your chapter is. The mayor of Philadelphia should know who the president of that chapter, the president of those city chapters are, right? Whenever there's a critical policy decision being made at the local level, they invite Alpha Phi Alpha to the table. What I want to see 50 years from now is in every city and every campus that we're at, that Alpha Phi Alpha has property on those facilities 50 years from now. So whether you go to Cornell or you go to High Point University, wherever there's an Alpha Phi Alpha chapter, college chapter, they have property on that campus. Whether you go to Beta Sigma Lambda out in Connecticut, or you go to a Mu Sigma Lambda on the West Coast, you're gonna see the mark of Alpha centers of excellence where there's property, where there's opportunity, where we're providing services to our community.
For sure. And also shout out to St. Louis Mayor Tashara Jones, Delta Sigma Theta.
Yes,
So
indeed. Yes,
so you know
indeed.
so you know she hip. You know she hip about the alphas and of course all the NPHC. So but
Definitely,
that's a
definitely.
great point because it's needed within our community specifically for sure. So um this might be my last question. I might have another one. I know you got some plans, it's
Yeah,
Founders
but
Day, Founders Day weekend.
I'm working with you, bro. I'm working with you.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you. How does it feel to be the first Haitian American general president?
So I will tell you this. It so there's this thing called double consciousness and that I want to speak to, right?
Hmm.
So even though my parents were born in Haiti, I grew up with a Haitian American experience. I also grew that American part of me also is very important, right? So I feel like I'm representing our people throughout the diaspora, not just the U.S. Black experience, which I grew up in. I went to high school, went to, grade school my whole life, born here and everything, born in Brownsville, Brooklyn. Went to school in Rochdale Village. Lived in Rochdale Village, went to Springfield Gardens High School. Syracuse University, like you talked about, but those experiences have shaped my experience. And so my it's allowed me to advocate from a global perspective, not just from a local perspective. So the feeling I have is a sense of pride, not just because I'm Haitian American, but because I care about our people so much beyond just being Haitian American. That helps shape my global perspective about things. So when things are going on in Haiti, that affects me. When things are going on in Ghana, that affects me. When things are going on, and even in Germany with our chapter there, those Theta Theta Lambda, those things affect me, right? When things happen in Mississippi, that affects me. When things happen in Iowa, that affects me. I truly live by this theme, no brother left behind. And we got to make sure, and I know that sounds really hokey and everything else like that, but it's truly what I believe. If we're serious about brotherhood, we can't leave any brother behind. We can't leave any sister behind. We can't leave any oppressed or marginalized people behind. And yes, marginalization doesn't know race. It can just know oppression, and we need to make sure that we're at the forefront of protecting those that are oppressed.
Most definitely, most definitely. Um, and as I mentioned, you've been busy with Alpha 26 years, busy in your career as well since you've graduated college. What are some of your hobbies? Like, what do you do for fun?
Oh
What's
man.
a fun day for you?
So for so I'm a big sci-fi head.
Okay,
I'm a big sci-fi head. So so what I collect Transformers.
okay.
And so, I'm a little bit off like that. So I have my kids tell me the kids tell me the next house I buy probably be I'll have a room for just Transformers. That's what they told me.
How old are your
Um,
kids?
my son is 17 and my daughter's she's 11, gonna be 12 next year.
Gotcha. All right,
Um, s
Transformers.
yep. So, but for my hobbies, like I said, I watch a lot of sci-fi, read a lot of books. So my reading habits are opposite my TV habits. My reading habits are social justice, historical books that I read. But what I watch on TV is like Star Wars, Star Trek, WWE, things like that, right? Those, I tell, hey, I already know. I already,
You
I
see that
see,
right there?
yes, I saw.
Okay, 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 okay. Cool,
So,
cool, cool.
I also big on music, love some music. I try to run every day. Doesn't always work out, but I do that as well. Write poetry. Those kinds of little things that I do help keep me centered. But the most important job I have is being husband to the most beautiful woman in the world, my wife Esther. She puts up a lot with me, and my two kids. I'm not gonna shout them out here. They don't like they don't like they want their own social media footprint, which I respect. You got to respect your kids because they want their own footprint. But that's my first column. Besides serving the Lord, of course. Big reader in the Bible. I read the Bible every day, and what I tell people is that find something that the Lord has given you to do, and do it to the best of your ability. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to agree with every religion that's out there, but if you believe in God, find out what God has for you because that's how we all work together. We need each other in the spaces that we're in. So God has blessed you to be the voice for Greek life in a way that you may not even see right now, but I see it for you that you're doing more for the culture than you even realize. And and sure, and the thing that you're doing for the culture that most of us don't realize is that you're educating those that are not in the culture about what we are. That we're and what I appreciate about you, I remember, I forget what session it was, but there was a session and you were going through all the sororities and you were just like, you were talking about all the sororities, but you had a sense of humor about it, right? That didn't offend, necessarily mean to offend, and you didn't offend that I saw, right? But I think that we also have to remind ourselves, this is fun.
Yeah,
If you're not, if I don't care whether you're a Kappa, a Delta, aka Q, have fun. This is brotherhood and sisterhood is not to be fun, right? I want you, would be responsible now, but I want you to get a phone call and from your LB or your chapter bro. Let's go here. Let's go get on a car and go down for 2 to 3 hours. That's great fun,
it was a
right?
brotherhood before business for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And so and sisterhood before business, right? Because if
Yep.
you're in
Mm-hmm.
here and you're not having fun, right? And I will use this as a perfect example. And I'm gonna give interest some game right now. I'm gonna give if you're interested in Greek life, I'm gonna get about to give you some game. And you may not get it today, but you're gonna get it one day. You don't need any of these Greek organizations to do community service. You really don't.
Say it again.
You don't need these Greek organizations to do community service. You really don't. Don't come to me telling me you want to do it for community service. The reason we do community service together is because it creates bonds for us, right? That's where the bonding takes place after you cross, right? Because, the things that we do together, whether it's an after work mixer or doing Project Alpha or Voteless Peoples or Hopeless People, the Deltas do stuff, the AKAs do stuff, the Qs do stuff. That's where the bonding continues after you cross, right? If you don't like people, don't be Greek because it's a whole lot of people here with a lot of personalities that you don't always get along with, right? But I'm putting you onto some game right now, so don't go into that interest meeting saying I want to be so and so because I want to do community service. You don't need us to do that.
You
You don't
can
need to
join
do
so
that.
many other organizations for that. You got the NAACP, you got
100 black men,
100 Black
everything.
Men, you got so Big Brother, Big Sisters, like you got so many other organizations you can do that in, So
Right? But I mean, but
great point.
they ain't gonna hear what I'm gonna say. They're not
They
gonna hear what
ain't they ain't listening to you,
they
right? You
ain't
spitting
listening.
game. You might as well you spitting that game, dog. They ain't gonna listen to you, man.
They
They
ain't gonna
they
listen.
they
But,
ain't gonna hear you. But I hear you
but
though, because it's crazy because I remember of course sitting in the informationals and I hear people say, oh, I want to join, because of the community service you do and things of that nature. And at the time, I'm thinking like I wasn't at alpha, so I'm thinking, like, why are you saying that? Like, you can go do, whatever organization we have on campus that does community service, So
and you don't have to pay
but
and you don't
those
have to
people
pay no
didn't make
money.
it, so
And you
and
don't
you
have
ain't
to
got to
pay no
pay
money.
them. Let me tell you. Okay, now, okay, now we on this subject, Fred. How much
Yes,
did you
sir.
pay your initiation fees?
Uh, about when it was all done, about $800.
You pay 898.
Yeah.
You sure?
Brother, you want me to give you the money orders? I still got
Oh,
my
you?
scrapbook.
Because I
I just
paid.
I'm just talking about membership fees. I'm not talking about everything else. I'm just talking about to be an alpha, my application fee was 600 and my chapter dues were 200.
So my initiation fees, I think, were 941, and I crossed fall 12, so that's why I was like surprised that.
Right, but I did alumni, so mine was a little bit higher. So
Oh,
12,
right, okay,
right. So yeah, but yours was probably around a couple of $100 less, right? But let's talk about fees because
yes.
without getting into the sauce because that we don't want to get too much into the details, right?
Mhm.
I will say this, right? How can I say this without being convoluted? Think of it like this. Yes, it's a financial challenge. All of them are, right? All of
Mhm.
them are. But that's part of it. And I don't know how to say it in another way that would not offend anyone, but that's also part of it. Are you resourceful enough to come up with the funds that you need, right? And and I think that that's part of the questions that we have to ask ourselves is that if you're serious about being in this organization, and I'm not only talking about Alpha, I'm just talking about in general, you have to there are commitments that you have to make, and that's one of them, right? And so we have to say, okay, this is the number, and you know that number. So what sacrifices are you willing to make? Are you willing to work that extra job? Are you willing to do a little bit more to get that money together so you can be a member? Now, I'm also aware, because I talked about earlier about the rising cost of college, right? So the other part of that too is that we could make it $300 tomorrow. But bro, I know college students that couldn't even pay that $300 to become a member.
Yeah.
So there's no perfect number, right? There's no perfect number that would say that you can be an ABC Greek organization for $250. There are cats that are barely making it. They're living poor in college, right? Their
Mhm.
only meal is the meal plan,
Yeah.
right? But if they came to me, and I'm just talking about Lucien, don't no interest hit me up for cash, please don't. But if I was on that campus and you came to me and said, "Hey, I really want to be an alpha, but I just can't afford it." And then we start talking, and I find out that you're living poor on campus, then I'm gonna do more because the brother in me sees the brother in you because you opened up yourself and made yourself vulnerable.
Yeah.
So that's a two, that's how that all works, right? So I got to
And that's
hear
the true
from,
spirit of the fraternity.
right. I got to hear from you if, because the brotherhood is about trust, right? And
Hmm.
I'm going to tell you, the secrets don't matter if I can't trust you with them, right? It's not the secrets themselves that make us a fraternity. It's the fact that I trust those with you,
Yeah.
right? Just
Hmm.
because someone else knows them that's not in the organization, it doesn't matter. What mattered to me was who was the person that told you that? Who was the
Yeah.
person that gave you that secret? Because you and I made an agreement as brothers that this would be for us, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And whether we agree or disagree, we'll fight. Brothers fight all the time, right? We'll fight and disagree, but you and I have an agreement that this thing that we held sacred is not the secrets themselves, but the fact that we gave each other our word that we would protect them. And
Yeah.
that's what it is. And that's not, and I know we talk, you hear a lot, there was a time that we were talking about renunciation and all this other stuff. I'll tell you this much, and this is just from Lucien. It's not from the 37th General President elect of Alpha Phi Alpha. It's just me speaking to the heart. When you can make anything an idol, you should disconnect from it, right? Anything that you put above your God, you should disconnect from it. But don't assume because I'm in it that I'm putting it above my God, right? Think about think about all the pastors, religious figures that
Get
are in
into
our
it.
Greek organizations, right? So you're telling me that Martin Luther King didn't know the word of God, right? He was, I'm asking, Vishanti Burke, all these people who are, I mean, you got in every organization, you got people that have studied the word, have PhDs in the word of God, and you're gonna tell them that they don't know what they're talking about? Now, if it's an idol to you that you're putting above your God, I would actually say, yes, you should not put nothing before your God, but don't assume that I'm putting it before my God because you did, right? So I think that that's very important because we need to be careful about that. Because, like I said, we got priests, pastors, bishops, PhDs in religion, all throughout these organizations that have done a lot more work than some people that have been on Instagram and YouTube and TikTok for 20 minutes and cherry picking the verses and the word of God.
Amen to that because it gets out of hand. And I mean, you've seen my page and how
Yeah.
crazy people can get. So like, it's gotten to the point where um, TikTok just
And
need to
here's
get canceled and banned. No, I'm just kidding. Not really.
no,
Go ahead.
and here's the thing, and this is the last thing I'll say about that. As you're going through your journey in your relationship with God, and if God has called you to give that thing up, give that thing up. But here's my example. If the word says that if it causes you to sin, right, then take it away from yourself, pluck it out, right? If it causes you to sin, right? The reality is that is it the thing that's causing you to sin, or is it really you?
Mm,
I've been an alpha,
wow. Okay.
I've been a brother 26 years, like you said, never had a drink of alcohol, right?
All
Does
right.
I'm not looking down on anybody that drink.
Yeah.
Take it from me. I can, when I was younger, when you was in kindergarten, I used to be able to cut it up, right? But But now I'm older, more mature. I don't do, I try to get the party over at 8:30 for me. But but
How you
from
gonna make it
that,
through your inauguration? No, I'm just kidding. Keep
man,
going.
I'm gonna drink some what they got, Powerade or something like that. But
Keep you up.
keep me up. But the thing is that I'm not judging anybody that drink, right?
Hmm.
But then I know people that will make alcohol their idol, right? And there are people that will make other things their idol. So are you saying that because everybody idolizes this and that we should give that up, right? No, not at all. What we're saying is that it's a thing for you, right? And if you see someone else coming down that process and is also convicted by that, you should be reaching out to them as well and saying, "Hey, I see you going down this wrong path." But don't assume that all of us are in sin because we're not,
Yeah. Mm.
So, and that's what I say. I say, so if that's your testimony, that's cool. but just make sure that you are holding yourself to the same standard that you try to hold everybody else.
Absolutely. You couldn't have said it any better. I'm glad that you brought that up. Especially now, of course, you were bringing that up not as the general president elect, but as yourself, as Lucien. So
Right.
appreciate you for doing that. I also wanted to go back and shout out to the Delta Epsilon Lambda chapter in East St. Louis, Illinois.
DUL.
So
Yep.
yeah, so I'm from East St. Louis, Illinois. But I
Okay.
went to high school over here in St. Louis. Currently live in St. Louis after I graduated from Mizzou, and I was in the male mentoring program, Lights of Alpha male mentoring program, under the Delta Epsilon Lambda chapter when I was in high school. And they always told me, when it's time to see the light, we got your back. And I'm thinking, okay, well, I don't know what that means. But when I finally was going through the process, hit them up, let them know, they got all the funds for me to pay for my initiation fees. So that's one thing I did not have to worry about because the Delta Epsilon Lambda chapter took care of that for me. So I just wanted to, plug them
And
in and shout them out.
but that's brotherhood, right?
That
Brotherhood
is,
and brotherhood does not always have to be for those that wear the same letters we wear.
yeah,
Brotherhood's a
absolutely.
global ideal that we need to bring people in.
Yeah, most definitely. Now they a little upset that I'm in Elam now. I'm in Epsilon Lambda over here in St.
Well,
Louis.
you know,
But
hey,
I'm
hey,
never too far. Like I
Elam,
still
Elam, Elam looked out for me. They were a great chapter when I was running, so I always got love for Elam.
okay, yeah, for sure. I mean, and I'm just across the river. It's not like I don't show up to,
No, you ain't
support
dump
their
'em. You
stuff.
ain't
So
dump 'em. Right? Yeah.
exactly, I'm always going it's always home. I'm always make sure home take care of. That's why I had to shout them out real quick. So shout out to DEL. Shout out to brother Reggie Riddle Young who introduced me to Alpha as well. So um
Shout out to Epsilon Lambda. Shout out to Wayne Harvey. I see you give Wayne a good shout out.
Wayne, okay, for sure. Yeah, okay, yeah. I'm gonna see all them this weekend with
Yeah,
our party and
shout out to
stuff.
brother Cretan,
Yep,
Marcus.
yep, yep. Marcus Creighton. Yep, yes
Yep.
indeed, yes indeed. Um, one more thing. You got to let the people know where to find you.
Oh
Socially,
yeah,
things of that
all my
nature.
socials are the same. Longshot 1906 1906 LONGSHOT 1906. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter. Trying to get off Twitter. I'm on Blue Sky now. You can find me there too. You can find me on TikTok. You can find me on, I would
You
say
on
MySpace.
TikTok?
I'm on TikTok, bro. I posted a video today. You
You,
need to follow me.
I'll make sure I follow. I don't like TikTok. I be on there here and there. I don't like TikTok. You gonna be the
And see,
first TikTok president. I'm gonna see.
you got to get your algorithms up so you can get the right stuff.
Hey, I'm gonna.
A lot of good wrestling content on TikTok.
Okay, I'm about to check it out. You gonna be the first TikTok president. You see you doing the dances
Nah,
and
I ain't
shit.
dancing. I ain't dancing in my videos. I'm just talking. But yeah, follow us on all the socials, Facebook. I would say MySpace, but MySpace is dead.
Yeah,
Uh,
MySpace been gone. Now I had a
yeah,
MySpace. I had a MySpace, and I had a Black
I had
Planet.
my
Wasn't supposed to,
I had
but
my top five though. My MySpace was lit.
you
I had
did.
music. I had top five.
What? But let me ask you, what music did you play on your MySpace when people came to your page?
See. So the other part of it is, so my friends from college know about this. I was an R&B junkie.
Okay.
So I was young, brother. So let's not cast any aspersions. But I used to play Joe music, all the things your man won't do.
You was out here selling dreams, Fred. All right, I got you.
Nah, I ain't selling dreams. I'm selling facts. I was selling facts. I was selling facts. But the Lord delivered me from all of that. But
There you go.
I still got my love for R&B. I will always be an R&B head, classical up to today. Uh, you know, it is the music. It is the hip hop is the rage of our people. R&B is the soul of our people.
Who would you say is your favorite hip hop artist, favorite R&B artist?
Modern Kendrick by a
Okay,
little
that's
bit, just a little bit.
surprising. That's
Yeah, a
definitely
little bit.
surprising.
All time, and I know everyone's gonna probably get mad at me. Most underrated rapper of all time, LL Cool J.
I expected that.
Yeah, most underrated. He's my favorite just because he's never on everyone's favorite list, right? But his lyricism, if you listen to his catalog throughout his career, his lyricism is top notch. His ability to battle rap, unquestioned, right? He people forget before Jay and Nas, LL Cool J was the one that was out on these streets beefing,
I'm
doing
bad.
rap doing
Absolutely.
rap beef, right? And
Hmm.
so when we think about those cultural normatives, I would say right now, and I think it might be recency bias because the last album Kendrick dropped, but I would say Kendrick.
Okay. Yeah, I was surprised with you being from the East Coast. Well, like you said,
Hmm.
you don't really close your lens because you're from the East Coast. That don't mean you're not supposed
Yeah,
to like Kendrick. You
yeah,
like Biggie, but that don't mean you're not supposed to listen to Tupac. So
correct.
I get it for sure. For me, if I were to go old school, my favorite rapper would be Ice Cube for sure.
That's a good choice. Hmm.
His Laugh Now Cry Later album, which came
Oh
out in
man,
'05, '06, absolutely love that
absolutely.
album for
Yo,
sure. And don't get me started with the NWA. My mom, rest in peace, she would play NWA, when I was in elementary school in the car before she got saved again. I ain't gonna get into that. But just listen. I mean, that's what I heard.
yeah.
I heard NWA, I heard
But
Ice Cube. Fun fact, I actually um auditioned to be in the Straight Outta Compton movie.
oh really?
Yeah,
Did not know that.
I wanted to play MC Ren. I made it to the second round.
Oh, okay.
I have to send you my videos, my audition
Yeah,
tapes, and
definitely
all that
send me
other
those
stuff,
there, bro.
man. But definitely Ice Cube is up there. But my like top three favorite, no order, is gonna go Kanye, which I have his album right here. Um, Ludacris, which Ludacris is
Luda,
on my wall as
right?
well, and then Andre 3000 on my that would be my top three.
So I'm
Even
a
though he playing
J.
a flute, but
I'm
it's
a
all
J
good.
fan. I'm
Okay,
J. I always love J. Biggie, Lost Boys.
okay.
Uh, I got quite the variety on the R&B side. Once again, completely underrated, even though they were the greatest R&B group of their time, Boys to Men. Uh,
Whoa, timeout.
I know you coming for me, bro.
Drew Hill is the greatest male R&B group of
I'm
all
talking.
time.
I'm talking about the numbers don't lie, brother. Let's go. We don't need to pull out the historical stats. The
Hey,
stats are the
listen,
stats.
Drew Hill got it.
I'm not. We ain't gonna do that tonight. We
we
ain't
can do
gonna do
that
that.
another time. We ain't
Yeah,
gonna
we
do
ain't
that.
gonna do
We can do that another
that.
time, Fred. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure, for sure.
But
But okay, I can see Boys to Men for sure.
the most talented person in Destiny's Child, Kelly Rowland. Uh, I'm a big Kelly Rowland fan.
Yeah, okay, okay.
You know,
I like how you did that too.
yeah,
I thought you was gonna go to Beyonce, but hey, you took a. Hey, Kelly's a good art.
Kelly's the
The
most
Beehive,
talented.
please
Yeah,
don't
the
go.
Beehive gonna come for me. It's all good. But no, I don't have no hate for Beyonce. I don't have no hate for Beyonce. I think Beyonce is extremely talented, and she's worthy of the position that she holds. She
Yeah,
earned that, right?
yeah,
But for
yeah.
me, when it comes to R&B music, is that Joe, those lyrical classics, those kinds of things. I love Michael Jackson, even
Okay.
though he's pop, right?
Yeah.
Generally pop. Michael
Hmm.
Jackson ability to cover all kinds of genres. Like think
Absolutely. And so
about think
many
about
people.
think about this. I know I'm going a little bit long, but think about this. Like, we still play Michael Jackson songs from the 70s in parties today.
Exactly. My son, who's 3, he be doing the Thriller dance.
Yeah,
Like it's insane. His music lives on forever.
he lives on, and that's why I call him the greatest artist of all time. I'm not saying that he sold the most records over the longest period of time, but Michael Jackson transcends time. Like
Yeah.
some of the groups you and I named, some of the hip, they're gonna fade away. But I
Yeah.
feel like 50 years from now, Michael Jackson's still gonna be played.
Thriller's gonna be played every Halloween for
Yeah,
ever and ever. Amen. Like
yeah,
it's no doubt it's gonna
it's
always
no
be
doubt.
played. Since we kind of, I feel like if you got a couple more minutes so people
I
can
got
really get to know you.
I got about
Um,
five. What's going on?
you mentioned wrestling.
Hmm.
Who would you say is your favorite wrestler of all time?
That's a Randy Orton.
St. Louis on Randy Orton, huh? Okay.
Randy Orton. Randy Orton. I
So
was so here's how hardcore I was. I became a Randy Orton fan before he got in Evolution.
okay.
So I was rocking Randy Orton when he used to cut those promos when his arm was broken. And you got to look him up on YouTube. He used to cut a promo right before he joined Evolution. He was like this young rising star. And he cut this promo. He broke his arm, but he cut these promos in his cast. You gotta go watch those on YouTube. Randy Orton was, and I was like, yo, this dude's gonna be goated one day. And I was right. What you got? What you got?
I had to walk away and grab my
Of course,
wrestling belt.
Grant.
I got the other one right there, but I had to
The
throw
big
this
gold
on real
belt.
quick.
The
I had
big
to throw
gold
on big
belt, right?
goal. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
you
got
know.
I got the NXT 2.0 title.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool, cool, cool.
So yeah, that's really my story. And it's like Randy Orton. I would say you're gonna hate me, but right now I'm a big Dom Mysterio fan. I don't know why.
Really?
Dom is just so hilarious. It's just like,
You remember that whole thing with Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero when Eddie
yes,
Guerrero was supposed to be his daddy? Oh my
yeah,
goodness, bro! Like
that
it's
was
so
great,
crazy
great
that he's a
TV,
wrestler
great
now.
TV. Yeah,
Uh,
man. I mean, but Dom is like, you know what it is? It's because it's so easy to hate on him, but he does it so well.
yeah,
Like,
I can see
like
that.
and the mustache is just hilarious.
Yeah, I don't know why he got that porn stash on, but that's neither here nor there. I did actually just meet Randy Orton when they did. I went to an NXT show for my
Because they
birthday
had it in St.
actually.
Louis, right?
Yeah, they had that one. I came to that
Yeah,
one when they played, which is crazy because so he tweeted out um like a couple because it was October. My birthday's October 9th, and the show was
right.
October 8th.
Oh, you
And
same
he
sign as my mom.
really
Yeah, my mom's the 16th. I'm sorry,
uh,
mom's the 14th.
okay, Libra season, yes sir.
Yes, indeed.
But Randy Orton sent out a tweet saying, "Hey Javon, I'm coming to St. Louis, and you better watch out for me," or something like that. So I got people, hitting me up like, "Hey, what's going on with Randy Orton? Saying he coming to
Looking
St.
for you.
Louis, and he almost spelled it like how my name is spelled." So people were like, "Hey, is this about you?" So like, "Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I'm finna go whoop his ass, whatever, whatever, whatever." So
I know.
but no, I was all fun. I actually was able to meet him. Like he's a good person for sure.
He is.
Like he literally stayed like behind for like an hour and like shook hands with everybody and signed and took pictures with whoever wanted to, do that. So hey,
I
Randy
know.
Orton good in my book.
I never met Randy Orton, but like I said, you go look for those old promos, and then you'll be like, oh, okay, because I saw it
Legend
like
killer.
then. Yeah,
Yeah.
even before
Legend
Legend
killer.
Killer.
Before Legend Killer. Oh yeah, you said before Evolution, right? Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
before Evolution, before he joined Evolution. Like I'm telling you, just watch for those old promos. I might text them to you, so because you'll
Yeah,
see.
yeah. Send them to me. Send them to me. And like it's always been in his blood, with
Mhm. With his
Cowboy Bob
dad,
Orton as
right?
well. So he's a generational wrestler, which leads me into me mentioning my favorite. I mean, my favorite's The Rock,
Of course, the People's Champ.
The people's champion, The Rock. I actually just went saw Moana 2 with him in, and it's just crazy to see the avenue that he's created, not only for
Hmm.
himself, but wrestlers to follow after him. You got Randy Orton who
Batista,
done played in movies, John Cena,
Batista's the best
Batista.
actor. Batista's
In
the best actor out of all of them.
Absolutely, he is, and I can agree with you on that because what he has done in the MCU is amazing for sure. He's done a great job. So I can agree with you on that one for sure. He's doing an amazing job.
He's
So
top
then
top
what
one.
yeah. One more thing. You watch any what sports do you enjoy?
Oh man, I enjoy all of them. So baseball, I'm a Mets fan.
Okay.
Hockey, I'm a New York Rangers fan. Football, I'm a New York Giants fan. Don't say nothing. Don't say nothing. See, there you
Come
go. Here we go. Here we go.
come on, man. You
Here we
you
go.
know what's going on over here. You
Basket.
a op?
Let me.
You a op, friend. Oh, I got an op
New
for a
York.
general president.
I got New York Knicks basketball all day. New York Liberty all day.
And I'm a
Uh,
Bulls fan for basketball.
I believe you. New
Yeah.
York Liberty all day. I'm just Syracuse football, Syracuse for my college. I'm straight New York down the line.
Yeah.
But I would say that it's always been a thing of mine. Like sports. I love sports. I'm a big sports junkie. Consume a lot of content.
Who's the greatest basketball player of all time?
It's Jordan. It's Jordan. It's Jordan. Um, Now what I was
As a New York Knicks fan, I respect that because
it
he
was
broke
it's
your
hard
heart
it's
in the
not it's hard
'90s.
for me to say, but it's the truth, right? I don't lie when it comes to stuff like that, right? Because Jordan was the greatest player that I've seen, right? Now if you look at stats, I mean, of course there are players that have better stats, but for my lifetime, and this is no shot against LeBron, I think LeBron is generational, right?
Absolutely.
Generational, and I hate people when they try to throw LeBron under the bus. I'm like, dude, do you even know how hard it is to get to that many finals? Right? Like
Exactly. And still be playing at this age he's at
at
now.
this age, at this level, right? And
Yeah.
I'm like, and it's nothing against LeBron. I just think that for me, for everything that I've experienced, Jordan is top tier, top stellar all time great, you know, did everything on the floor. But I will say, when I watched that documentary about the Bulls, I was like,
Last Dance.
The Last Dance, I was like, this dude takes everything personal.
I've seen it 7, 8 times, so I could
I'm
probably.
like, no, but Jordan took everything
He
personal.
did. He took
He
everything
took
personal, which made him him.
it made him. I'm like, and that's why he was great because I'm like, he'd be like, yeah, he said something about my shoes, so I took it personal. I'm like, dude,
Listen, hey, whatever you need to
whatever
get you
works,
going, whatever works.
whatever works.
But no, I mean, even just like growing up as a kid, we all wanted to be like Mike. And I was just telling someone this at work, like, hey, we all in the black community, like people around my age, we saw Michael Jordan. We
So
wanted to be like
be
Mike.
like Mike,
But, like all of us wasn't as talented in basketball as Michael Jordan was, but we were able to become like Mike in whatever profession we was in.
correct?
It's just really about being the best person you can be in whatever you're doing. And Michael Jordan portrayed that. So Michael Jordan's my goat as well, if you didn't know. If you
Yeah, I
can't tell
definitely.
with the shirt I got on and
And I think,
these are
like,
actually like Michael Jordan, things right there that's sitting right there. My shirt I got on, like,
so,
yeah,
last thing I'll say, and then I do have to go. But what I want to just say is this about sports: not everyone should be Michael Jordan because if everyone tried to be Michael Jordan, we wouldn't have Steph Curry, right?
absolutely.
So, and Steph Curry revolutionized the game where everybody's shooting threes, right?
Hmm.
So, I always tell people find that thing that you're great at and be the greatest at that. There will never be a power forward like LeBron James who can play the three and the four, right?
And the 1 and 2 and 5.
Five. He can do it all. He can do it all,
Yeah. Uh huh.
right? But and when I tell you, I will say this: Jordan, the greatest player of all time. But when it comes to carrying a team, I've never seen a player carry a team like, especially young LeBron, carry teams.
Yeah.
Young,
Absolutely.
like
That
literally put a whole
2007 where they got swept by the Spurs put them
yo
on his back
on
that
his
year because
back.
they didn't have anything. They had Booby Gibson, Big Z, like they Drew Gooden, like Eric
Yeah, yeah,
Snow. He
yeah.
carried that team
I've
for
never
sure.
seen anyone carry teams like LeBron.
Yeah,
So,
I agree. I can see that. Yeah.
all right, bro.
Yeah,
So,
I
anything else,
appreciate you,
man?
Frat. As y'all can see, we got the general president elect on. Hopefully we can get some other presidents and bachelors and other
Definitely,
titles
definitely.
that the other organizations use. Hopefully we can get them on here one day. But hey, Fred, I really appreciate you for
I
joining me.
appreciate you, bro.
You
Man,
enjoy your founders that go ahead.
you as well. And really quickly, I want to tell all the brothers out there, if no one else tells you today, I love you. We as black men need to tell each other that we love each other. I love you, bro. And more importantly, to all your followers on Prophytes Be Like on all social media platforms, I love you in a way that God wants us to love each other. So if you're going through something, don't be afraid to reach out to somebody and let them know that you need help.
For sure. Love you too, Fred. Appreciate the love for sure. For sure. This is episode 43 of the Prophytes Be Like podcast. We have the 37th President elect Lucien J. Metellus Jr. on with us. Really appreciate him for stopping by on this episode. You can listen to us on Apple, Spotify, and now the Amazon Music podcast stations, as well as watching this on YouTube. So make sure you follow us on all avenues at Profiles Be Like, and be sure to follow PBO Podcast on Instagram. Once again, this is episode 43 of the Profiles Be Like podcast, and we out.